Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Joni Misiak. This month, I want to do a theme that really will help remind you that you matter too. And that's what this mini series for this month is called. You Matter Too. So over the course of the month, or 5 episodes, depending on when you're listening to this episode, I am going to be sharing different things that can kind of just help remind you how amazing you are and that you do matter just as you are right now in this moment, and other things to kind of help you reinforce this. So for example, today we're going to talk about you don't owe anybody an explanation for your life. So they're just little things that I wanted to share. And I was looking at all these things I wanted to talk about on the podcast, and I kind of just brought it back to you matter too. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you join us over the next 5 weeks and beyond, hopefully. I hope you join us. So get cozy, get comfy, grab a blanket, grab something hot to drink, or, if you're fortunate enough to be somewhere warm in this world, something cool and refreshing. Now, let's talk about the things you don't owe anyone an explanation for. Because here's the truth. This is your life. It's yours, not somebody else's. And I know from personal experience that it is so easy, or not even easy, but it just happens that, we're told things growing up that we should do this or we should do that, or we just see other people in our life doing something. And we think that that's what we have to do. But the thing is, it's your life. And when you finally figure out what you really want to do and you follow your heart, some people in your life might not be happy about it. But it's not their life to live, it's yours. So I'm going to go over some things today and share my own personal experiences because I've had struggles with this myself. So again, it's your life, and you don't need to explain your life choices to anybody, to people in your life, or, and we're going to talk about lifestyle choices, career choices, all these things, because people feel like they have a say in our lives about it. But the truth is, they're not living in your shoes. They're not anyways, you get to live how you want to live. So let's talk. Like I said before, I struggled with this myself. And then when I finally realized that I didn't owe anybody explanation for my life or my life choices, it was so freeing. So one of the things you don't owe anybody an explanation for is how you spend your free time. Maybe you love meditation. And I remember first going on my own. I love that it actually popped up. That was the first thing I said in my head, because I remember trying to find my way into the world of meditation. I was living with my grandma, and it just felt so hard to share these things. I'm trying to do this, and trying to share how you're trying to do this thing and you're struggling when somebody else doesn't understand it or get it is really hard. And then when you're trying to explain yourself, the thing you're trying to do kind of loses its meaning, or it can anyways, and get lost in the muck of it all. And then also you can then feel judged and things like that, or ashamed of something when you're just trying to figure out something about yourself. So sometimes, when we're learning something or trying something new, we can feel like we need to share, or people ask us. And then, it's really hard to do sometimes. And then also I was just randomly thinking, my daughter had a problem too, where they think about how their friends will see themselves, or if their friends ask oh, why weren't you in school, or just different things. And their teacher said the best thing ever. It's none of their business. You don't have to share anything you don't want to share. And I thought that was right. Great reminder. Thank you. So we don't need to share anything that we don't want to. We don't have to explain ourselves. How we live is our choice, and it's up to us. And that includes how you spend your free time. Now, I will encourage you to do different things with your free time, but again, it all comes down to what makes you feel good. So, I'm not a huge fan of scrolling on social media and losing hours and hours of time doing it. However, if that truly makes you feel good, I'm not going to poo-poo it. And same with like binge watching TV. I love a good binge watch. If I'm feeling down or I just, I have my period, it's a heavy day, I'm just going to chill and be cool with that. But if you do it consistently forever, then, maybe you're not feeling so good anymore, right? So it's not about judgment here, and it's not about anything like that. It's about what makes you feel good. Own it, but you don't have to explain it to anybody. Another one, and this one was tricky for me, is your diet and lifestyle. So when I was living near family, this was a struggle because I went through a phase where not a phase really, I went through a point in my life where I really felt better eating a plant-based diet. Really, really good. My energy was so much better. And a part of it, I think, came down to that I wasn't eating sugar with this diet either. And when I say diet, oh my gosh, you need to listen to the episode my husband and I did on on the His and Her show with Jody and Alex Misiak. Because we talk about like how diet, it's not, this fad diet or anything. Diet just means what you're eating. So anyways, I'm not going to talk about it here. We're not going to go down that rant because I have other things to discuss this episode. But when I say diet, I just mean like what we're putting in our bodies. So plant-based, like it just made me feel good, but I wasn't having sugar or any, at least not a refined sugar. So I was feeling really good, really light, really energetic. And then I go to family functions and I wasn't eating any of that. And then like people asked me questions and then they were like really judgmental. And they're just like, oh, do you eat cheese? Because that's not vegan. And like there's just this whole pile because if people don't understand plant-based, and it was just a hot mess. So what I realized is I don't need to add labels to my life, but also sharing is like, you don't need to share. The only problem is like when you're sharing a meal with people and then you're bringing your own food, that was hard. Same with my daughter, can't have wheat. They're gluten-free. So it's really tricky to go to a family function when they don't understand it. Because anyways, then I found myself lost and over explaining and then getting some serious, like not cool vibes from it all. Anyway, but you don't need to share it. Same with lifestyle. And it's your choices, it's your body. And it's so important to realize that. And it's okay. Does that mean that everybody will be cool with you not sharing? No, man. I've been there. And it's a hot mess sometimes. But it's knowing like, okay, I'm making these choices for me and me alone, and that's okay. Just like I wasn't eating sugar, so I would be bringing my own like dessert, quotation marks. It was a delicious, or I should say redefined sugar back then. And it was I made a delicious salted almond smoothie with dates. So it was delicious. Tastes like ice cream, but without the refined sugars. It's so hard when you're mingling and like with other family and they just don't see you. I know I'd have a huge problem right now with fasting around my family, but thankfully I don't have to deal with that anymore because my family's away. Anyway, all jokes aside, we don't have to over-explain. We don't have to explain at all. Just remember, it's your body and it's your decisions of how you feel. You're the only one that knows how something makes you feel. So keep that in mind. Changing your mind. Oh my goodness, this is another massive one. So I went to school for fashion design. I don't think I'll ever live it down that I'm not in that industry anymore. I tried. I couldn't pay the bills or my student loans in that industry. I moved back away from Toronto, Ontario, and lived with my grandma so I could pay off my student loans. And my family sees this as like, okay, you didn't do this. But the cool thing is, and I've mentioned this before on this podcast before, that I actually use some of the things I've used. So it is okay to change your mind. I made a decision I think I was 18 when I decided to go to fashion school. And we change a lot throughout our life. And it is really important to know that you might make a decision and then realize later as you grow and change that it doesn't fit with who you are. The cool thing is, though, I love being creative. I love art and I love putting things together. I still love fashion. However, it just doesn't fit into my lifestyle. I don't want to live in a big city and do all that anymore. And I even started my own clothing line briefly, but that was a lot of work. And then I became a mom. So I just didn't feel like that was the right fit for me. However, the creative bit is still with me, and the things I learned back then, design-wise and life-wise, are still with me today. So making a change or changing your mind about something doesn't mean you're flaky or that you or that you failed at something or at life or you just, suck at making decisions. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that's the path you went on to get to where you are now. So it's being really mindful of that, but you don't need to explain to anybody why you've changed directions. Because again, only you know why you're changing directions. It's in your heart. You're speaking to your soul. You're connecting to yourself. And yourself is the only thing that matters when you make a change. Another one is saying no without feeling guilty. So say somebody wants you to go out at night or do something or help with something and you just don't have time in your schedule, or you just want to stay home in your PJs and hang out. It's totally cool to just say no. That's it. No, thank you, or thanks for thinking of me, but I have other plans, or I don't feel like leaving the house. I'm super honest usually with my plans, but I do try to keep it short because sometimes we just feel so guilty that we're saying no, that we feel like we have to compensate for saying no and we have to over-explain our answer. But no can be a complete sentence. I always like to say thank you for thinking of me though, because I do appreciate the offer and the invite of thinking of me. So I want them to know that I do appreciate the offer. And then I just say, yeah, I just don't feel like it. Because sometimes I just don't feel like going out. And maybe you don't either. I know it's getting into the cool months now where I really do like to stay home and be cozy. It's kind of a thing. So yeah, it's totally cool to just stay home in your PJs. Now, this kind of ties into the next, like what we just talked about with saying no without feeling guilty. It's setting boundaries. And this is all these things actually in my own life I've experienced, and they've all been tricky. So I share this all with love. But setting boundaries in your life is important, like setting boundaries with yourself, with others, between work and home, the kids and home. And like for me, a big one was setting boundaries with my business, home, and family, like the whole shebang, because I work from home. So I could technically be doing the dishes, laundry, doing all these other things while I'm working. But I have a really firm yet flexible, because I have to be, because I have children. I say that, okay, sorry. I had to be firm, but flexible because life happens and I have children and things like that. But I have work hours, and those are my work hours. And it's having boundaries throughout all those things. And then I also have boundaries with myself. Sorry, Alex. Spending time for myself, meditating, yoga, working out, and things like that, making me a priority. And it's really just finding that balance between myself, care, taking care of all my needs, family, house, kids, and work, and just trying to find that fun balance. But we don't have to explain those boundaries with others. Now, if you're setting boundaries to somebody, it's nice to share a little bit about like I'm setting, or, whatever it is that you need. Like, so this could be a boundary for yourself / for others. It's like, I don't take phone calls after 9 o'clock, Or I'm not on my phone after 9 o'clock. So if you text me, I won't see it till the morning. Like things like that. Or can you please call before you come over? Like if that's something that you need, like you just need to have that. Everybody has their own needs and wants. And it's a little tricky to explain exactly what boundaries you need to set. But it's even how grandparents can treat their grandchildren. So for example, we don't have a lot of sugar in our house. Now our kids do have candy and they do have things like we do go to Halloween and things like that. So they do have that. But we're very, we're aware of the balance, and our kids really know like this is a sometimes food or a treat. And it isn't a treat if you're having it every day. So we have a really open conversation about things. And everybody's different again. I know other households that, they put different foods in their lunch that we wouldn't have in ours. And that's totally okay. We each have our own ideas and way we want to live our lives and what we want to put in our bodies and things like that. And it's totally okay. We're all different and we all have our own ideas. It's when other people need to understand why we have those ideas. Hopefully that makes sense. So, it's talking to people in your life and be like, oh, if you're going to bring a treat, can you let me know? Or, ask ahead. Like now, this doesn't matter so much anymore because our kids are older, but I remember when our kids were young and we really kept them away from the sugars and candy and all that until we absolutely could. Like we didn't have a juice box in our house for the longest time. And then eventually our kids went out into the world and it's like, well, here we go. We don't really have as much, input anymore, but at least in those first couple of years, they didn't have that. And we were happy about that. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling on now. So it's just, we don't owe anybody an explanation for our boundary setting. However, when you're talking to people about boundaries, it's sharing like, I would like this, and that's pretty much it. Like you don't have to over-explain anything to anyone. Because look at me now, I'm even trying to over-explain my own life choices to you here, right? We have this need or this idea that we have to get people on our side of how we live. Or maybe not even on our side, because I'm cool. Like I live my life over here doing my own thing, and that's totally cool. But we always feel like we have to explain why. But the truth is we don't have to. It's our life choices. It's our decisions to parent a certain way. In my opinion, if love is there, that's really the most important thing. So anyways, let's get on to the next one. You don't have to explain your life goals. You might have a ginormous big goal that might seem over the top for some people. Maybe it's going to the moon. It could be anything. And you don't have to explain your goals. In fact, sometimes I actually keep my goals to myself now because the more we talk about them, the less they seem likely to happen. And I hope that kind of makes sense. Like sometimes we have these things that they're in our heart. And the moment we share them, maybe with the wrong person or somebody that's critical and judgmental of our decisions, then all of a sudden we're like, oh, this isn't possible. And then, or like whatever, we have these negative feelings around these goals that our heart is saying like, yeah, I want this. But then people in our life make us feel like, oh, who are you to want this? Or things like that. So it's really just important to understand that you don't have to share your life goals with anybody. Now, if you have a friend or somebody you trust and you love to share, there's nothing wrong with that. But know that no one needs to know unless you want them to. Now, here's another one, your relationships. You don't have to share who you're friends with, who you're dating, who you're getting married to. It's all up to you. It's your life. It's your peoples that are going to be hanging out with you in your life. You don't owe anybody else an explanation of who you're hanging out with, who you're marrying, dating, any of that stuff. Thankfully, I had some parents that were really cool. Like they never really said anything at all. So I've been very grateful for that. My parents just kind of let me figure it out on my own and do things. Because sometimes people have a say in who you're hanging out with, who you're dating and all that. And we got to figure it out on our own. And I think that's important. Again, it doesn't mean you can't talk to a good friend or somebody you trust, but you don't owe anybody an explanation for your choices. Also, and I've shared a little bit about this already, past mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's part of life. We all fall down, but it's how we get back up. And when we start to see mistakes as these learning, like these things and lessons and learning from them, then they just become that. We do not ever need to explain our past mistakes to anybody. Again, you can choose to share them, but you don't have to share them with anybody. And this one like is really close to my heart, is living different from what others expect of you. If you've been listening to this podcast, Loving Me, Myself, and Life, I shared the journey that it took to get from Ontario to the coast in British Columbia. And I had to let go of a lot of what I felt others expected me. Were they expecting me to live a certain way? I don't know, but I felt like those expectations were on me. I grew up where everybody lived fairly close by, and we didn't really move. We just kind of stayed put. My parents are still in the same house I grew up in and things like that. So I just never thought I could. Now, and that's on me because that's the expectations I put on myself. But I also felt like I couldn't leave. Like it wasn't cool to pick up and move across the country. So I had to really let that go, and the idea that other people, the expectations people had on my life, so I could finally listen to my heart. Because again, it's my life, it's your life. We are, living it. Now, I want to put this in here because I've been thinking about it the whole time. It's like, it's my life, it's your life, and it is. Now, sometimes in life we come with children and partners. So obviously some decisions, is a team, right? And a family. So sometimes we have other people that we do share and make decisions with. So I don't want to make this about like me, or you the whole time, because I do want to have an open conversation here and be very, aware that sometimes we do make decisions with other people. Just like I'll go back to how you spend your free time. If you are married or, in a relationship with somebody, sometimes, those worlds do kind of blend together. It's still important to remember that you're each individuals as well. And at the same time, if you're living under the same roof, things do blend together a little bit. So it's having discussions and talking about things. But at the same time, it comes down to it being individuals living under the same roof and being a team. So I just wanted to share that because sometimes we do have people we talk to about decisions or how we're living our lives or dreams. So it's not about don't share anything with anybody ever again. It's you don't have to if you don't want to. It's your choice. So it's really about choice here. And that you don't have to share or explain anything to anybody you don't feel like you need to. There's a few people in my life, I'm not going to name them here, but there's a few people that I have chose to not share things with anymore in my life because I don't feel like they have my best interest at heart. And that's okay. It doesn't feel safe to share things with anymore. But then I have my husband, who we share 2 beautiful children with and a home and 2 fur babies. So I do share with him my goals, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. And I, share different things about my life with him. So it's not about never sharing anything with anybody ever again. I want to make that clear. It's about choosing who you want to share your things with, your life with, your ideas with, your dreams, your passions, all the things. And it's really about listening to your heart. Do you feel safe sharing these things? Do you feel good when you share these things? Like, of course, I share my life choices with my husband because he is one of my life choices and one of the most important relationships besides myself and my 2 children in my life. So I really do share a lot with him. So I just wanted to make that, I just want to talk into that because it's not just about never sharing anything with anybody. It's just making the choices to live your life the way you choose to. And that also includes who do you choose to talk with about these things or not to talk with those things. I definitely have a lot of people in my life that don't know my big, beautiful dreams because they're mine. And I do have a lot of them. I've always been a huge dreamer, always. And I have to thank that to my parents, actually, especially my mom. Always a big dreamer. And I also had a lot of time as a child to dream. So it's been really beautiful. So I really have that. And then it's just, figuring out how to do follow through, right? We have dreams, goals, and all that beautiful things. But that's for a different day. Anyway, so I've been able to dream big and have things. But not everybody is open to listening and cheering you on. So it's just making those decisions of who you want to share with and who you don't. And that's, again, your choice because it's your life. And one that I'm just going to talk about briefly too is one last thing is you don't have to also explain how you're spending your money. Say you want to buy a house, or maybe you don't want to buy a house. Maybe you want to buy a boat. All the things that you choose, again, are up to you. Now, again, if you're in a long-term relationship or with a husband, partner, all the things, then of course, it's a team. And we're talking about different things again. The thing is, though, you don't have to explain or over-explain anything to anyone for your choices. And that includes money. I have this interesting vibe with money, especially with talking about other people, because I grew up in a house that we never talked about it. And I feel personally wise, I think it's important to talk about money. And at the same time, I think it's pretty much nobody else's business about, how much I make or things like that. Right. So it's just I'm in this weird in between place because then you meet other people that are very free and open about things. So it's really just how you feel about certain things. And it's okay to be where you're at. And if you want to share, cool. If you don't, that's also cool. And that's where we're at right now is that it's okay if you don't want to share certain information about your life, about your choices with other people in your life. And then there's going to be other people that you share everything. And as long as that feels good, that's all good too. So again, it's checking in with yourself. How does it make you feel when you share? I have some good peoples in my life that I share when I'm having a bad day or I'm sharing different things. Heck, man, I share a lot on this podcast. But then there's other times in my life where I definitely know that there's certain people, certain things I don't share with, and that's okay too. So it's just checking in with yourself, understanding what makes you feel good, what doesn't, how people react when you tell them things. For one more quick story, and I might have shared this already, so I apologize if you've already heard it, but I'm saying it again because it just popped up. I remember when my husband and I were just toying with the idea of moving to BC. And we didn't even know where or what, or we had no idea. We were just talking about it. And I just brought it up at my daughter's birthday with family. And let's just say the reaction wasn't great. And I was like, oh, that's how people feel about us moving across the country. And then I never talked about it again until we moved because I had my own fears, my own things. I wanted to make sure that I was making decisions. And my husband and I were both making decisions based on what we wanted, how we felt, not what other people felt. And it was a really cool thing to see that moment and realize, okay, this is not a safe place to share our dreams and our hopes and our goals for what our next chapter looks like. And we had a conversation. Hopefully, Alex, as you're editing this, they're okay with me sharing this. We realized that, okay, not a safe place to share our dreams and hopes right now. Not until we knew exactly what we wanted. And that was okay. So sometimes you say something and you're like, oh, okay. Note to self, maybe don't share about this anymore, or at least until you feel really good. Because people have a tendency to talk us out of things because we're human. We have fears. We have things going on. And if they feed into our fears, because a lot of the time people reflect our fears. So they might say something that we're already thinking. But if you're in the process of working through something, they might pick up on a fear, and mirror that fear of yours and bring it back. And then you have double the fear. And that is so not good. So it's working things out on your own or with a friend or partner, whoever, whatever's going on. Like my husband and I, we worked it out together because it was really nobody else's business but ours. So we talked it out, we shared about it, and it was us making that decision. And then once I felt a little bit more grounded in our decision, really connected to what I wanted to do next, we could slowly start letting people know what we've decided. But again, there was still fear, because fear doesn't just disappear. It's moving through the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyways. If it's really true to what you want, right? My heart said, yes, do it, Jody. So anyway, I have gone on long enough. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And just remember, you matter too. Your life goals, your life choices, everything you want, everything your path that you're choosing matters. You matter. But no one else needs to get it, understand why you're making these choices but you. And if you want a safe place to be you, just you, not just you, because you are you and you're amazing. It's not just you. You, to be you as you are right now. No fixing, no changing required. I invite you to join the Be You community room. It's absolutely free. If you go over to my website, you become a free member by just logging in, and with Google, you can either do Google or create a password. And then join the BU Community Room group. It's under groups. And we would love you to be there, to chat, to share, and just to feel at home. Maybe you don't have anybody in your life that you can share with without being, criticized or judged. In the BU Community Room, all are welcome. We're there to love you, encourage you, and support you wherever you are and whoever you are. I believe that we all need a safe place to be ourselves, because it's taken me a long time to really embrace who I truly am. And I think it's important that we all get that opportunity to do so. So if you are ready to have a loving, supporting community, or heck man, you just are looking for a community to support you, I encourage you to join the BU community room. And again, it's absolutely free. It's just my way of having this beautiful group. And I'm just taking the social media aspect of it out, just for my own personal reasons, because I just want to get away from that world a bit. And it's on my website. So there's no Facebook or Instagram or any of the other things that you need to have to join usually private groups. This is just here, a part of my website, where you get to be you. No social media required. And it's, again, a free place for you to be freely you. It's on my website at jodymisiak.com. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I look forward to chatting with you again soon for the next 4 episodes. The next one, we talk about how rest is productive, not lazy. Take care and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.